Now, let's talk about the physical attributes of the Vata person in order to understand how the qualities translate into what are observable attributes of the Vata dosha. For example, dryness can show up in dryness of hair, dryness of skin, dryness of eyes or restlessness of eyes can relate to movement. Nails can often be cracking or brittle or having lines on them. That is a Vata trait. Low weight, thin body frame is a Vata trait. That's the lightness aspect of the Vata. Bowels can be dry and therefore become often constipated, and so you have to hydrate extra in order to be able to have regular movement, and also tend to the dryness that happens in the body because of the excess movement of the mind or the body because you tend to be busy. And so hydration is important. We'll get to balancing things in a moment. Sleep can be light. Or other people can be often very light sleeper, have a hard time getting good rest if they're anxious or they have a lot on their mind or a lot going on in their life or they're having some conflict. They can have a lot of disturbed sleep or wake up many times or they get disturbed by their partner or some noise. So they can be super light sleeper too. That is the aspect of the how the qualities of the air element translate into these physiological, physical sensations and experiences of Vata. Now, the more interesting part, which is the personality or the mental state of the Vata person. Now, Vata people, because they're moving very fast through life, might have a difficulty remembering things, or they might have difficulty with short-term memory, where they're thinking, I need to do this, and they go to the other room and they say, what was I gonna do? They have to come back and figure it out again. And so that can happen either with the Vata constitution or with Vata aggravations. Then there is forgetfulness, of course, I mentioned, but then there's also inconsistent recall. Because the short term doesn't convert into long term very easily, they might remember things what they imagine rather than exactly how things happen. And so a lot of it has to do with how they felt in the moment rather than what actually happened in the moment. And so this way, Vata people can hold on to a lot of bad experiences and they can become lifelong anxieties for them. And so this is an important aspect of helping a Vata person is to help them to become more current and present and connect with their strengths rather than holding on to the impressions of the past. Then there's mental activity. Fast thinking, fast talking, mobility of mind, so staying busy is an aspect of Vata dosha. Because they're very fast moving, they can easily get confused or bogged down with a lot of information coming or a lot of stimulus coming towards them. The stimulus also has to do with their subtleness, their sensitivity. And so too much information coming makes it hard for them to say, what am I feeling intuitively? What am I feeling in my body or in myself so that I can be clear about what exactly I need to do? So it can create confusion. This is not a fault of a Vata person, but rather that is something that comes with their imaginative, creative nature, and it needs to be balanced by doing grounding in order to slow things down and slow your intake down so you can process it better. So there's some balancing that needs to be done with the Vata. In the behavioral tendencies, most of my Vata clients are like, they just keep busy all the time because their minds are busy. They need to do something. They get restless sitting for a long time, or they need to be constantly talking, joking, playing, telling stories, listening to stories, something or other for them to be there, be present. And so engagement and stimulation is a very common factor that Vata is like really overdoing. And so busy bees is how it's described. Now, there's also a tendency to be distractible and be inattentive. So ADD and ADHD is often misdiagnosed as a pathology in the Vata person, but rather might just be their nature. And so often people are overdiagnosed with ADD and ADHD, so because they're just Vata person, and that label needs to be removed, and they need to be taught to help to manage their dosha rather than take medication. So that's one aspect of Vata. And mental changeability, They tend to be worriers, so because they're imaginative, that imagination also can go on what's not going to work or what is not working, and so they end up worrying a lot. And so that is one aspect. But by their nature, they're very excitable, light, playful, joyful. They're great friends to have because they'll always keep your mood up, joke around and lift you up and things like that. And they're easily inspired, and they can also be very inspiring because they're so creative, because they're so generative, because they put out so much energy and light into the space. And that is the beauty of the Vata dosha, and that is the beauty of you. And notice, where is your creativity, how it is expressed, and where it is blocked. When is the last time you sang? When is the last time you had fun and laughed? And how often is it blocked? When is the last time you played? And how is it blocked?